Welcome to Good Morning Akron, everyone. I'm your host, Sarah, and today I get to hang out with Jenney Kenderes. Jenney, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Sarah?
I am just fine, and we are going to talk about your business. You are president and CEO of Premier Senior Solutions.
Yes.
And I thought this was a really interesting take on helping seniors, helping families of seniors. So go ahead and explain a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me today. So I am absolutely honored to be able to do what I do. I help families and their loved ones as they navigate this journey looking for senior living options. It can be very overwhelming. I know you've gone through it in your own family.
Yeah, we have.
It's a lot of misinformation that is spread. So I take a very personalized approach with each family in regards to logistics, care, finances, amongst other things, and start to finish, I'm there for them.
I love that. And you actually shared with me before, it's kind of like you're a realtor helping someone to find a home. In this case, you're helping them to find senior care. And I think that's really important because, the shoe doesn't always fit the same on every person, right? And so
Absolutely.
Everyone has different needs. So share a little bit more about the different options that people have when they come to you.
Absolutely, because a lot of preconceived notions still exist, and nursing home is used very interchangeably, that word. So there's many options. There's independent living, there's assisted living, memory care. Those all look very different, and I really want to meet somebody where they're at and where their finances are at. There's also preconceived notions. You have to be very rich to be able to afford these places.
Right.
But there's lots of programs, veterans programs. There's different Medicaid options even. So it really just depends, and I meet them where they're at and help them from start to finish and then beyond.
So Jenney, how did you get interested in this? What made you want to start this business? Do you have a story that kind of led you to here?
Yeah, so I've worked in healthcare in some capacity in Cleveland for over 25 years.
Okay.
And the second half of my journey in healthcare was senior living and hospice. And I love my seniors. And I've gone through it in my own family as well. But I knew that it was my purpose to help seniors and their families and really give them that hand-holding that they need that was lacking. So I've had my company for almost 6 years now, and it's been absolutely incredible, and it's an honor to work with so many families.
So if someone is interested, they're watching this, they have a loved one that maybe does need some care, what would be the first step for them? Would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so, and again, because that can segue into many different things,
Right.
and it doesn't necessarily mean assisted living right away. It could mean home care and other ancillary services. So they can reach out to me on my website, www.premier-senior.com, or I know my TikTok will be linked here. I have tons of free downloads and resources, and there's a contact form on there. So a couple of different ways they can get in touch with me.
So I actually heard that your TikTok kind of blew up a little bit, which I think is really wonderful because you've been able to provide resources for the community. So maybe for someone who doesn't need to take the step of full-time care for their loved one yet or getting services yet, but they might need some education, they can find you on TikTok, right?
Absolutely, and any value that I can provide or any insight I can give people is my job is done, I say. So yes, they can find me there, and my kids sort of make fun of me that it blew up with this subject, but there's a need for it. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, can you share with us some of the tips that you might give someone if they're watching a TikTok?
Absolutely. So it's all different. Sometimes people will ask questions specific that I will answer them, but it can be about, a lot of it is caregiver burnout. That's a big thing I see.
Yeah.
So the other thing too, right now with the holidays approaching, is huge because we are scattered all over the country as families, and as people come home, they're noticing decline in their loved ones. So I give them tips like what to look for, physical changes maybe, mental changes, things going on with their loved ones. Check the food in the refrigerator. A lot of times there's expired items in there. Check for damage on the car, check for, hygiene, things like that. So little tips and tricks if I can help them from, through the process, beginning and everything in between.
I love that. So go ahead and share your TikTok so that people can find you.
So it's at JenK1120, and it's under Senior Living Expert is the tagline, if you will. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So what tips would you give someone who's watching this right now who maybe does need to make that first step to reach out?
It's number one, I just want to acknowledge how hard it is, and taking that next step is very painful, and there's a lot of grief involved and there's a lot of guilt involved, so I understand that. So I do talk about that a lot. I would say reach out to me. There's a contact form on my website, on my TikTok, and we can schedule a call. The service is no cost to families if it's something I'm able to help you with to place, as I'm reimbursed a percentage by communities that I work with. But again, there's free resources they can even download on my TikTok or my other store that's linked through TikTok. But yes, fill out a contact form and we'll go from there.
Okay. And obviously people can do their own research online, but why should they contact you? Why should they take the step to find someone that has the knowledge?
I love this question so much because this happens all the time. People unknowingly get swept up into a national database, and then you may think you're reaching out to a local community, but you're not, and your name is sort of farmed all over, and then you'll get inundated with tons and tons of phone calls. And I always say that if I have to recommend more than 3 communities to somebody, I'm not doing my job, because it needs to be so personalized rather than just throwing a dart at the wall. And plus, as I mentioned to you before, I really have a good indicator of what's going on behind the scenes, having worked in communities, and then what's going on currently in the buildings as I stay in touch with my family. So it helps.
Do you just work with families that are local here to Northeast Ohio, or do you, now that you've blown up on TikTok, do you work nationally with people?
I do work nationally.
Okay.
So, and actually, a good colleague of mine in San Diego, her and I created actually all the templates on my website, and I have colleagues of mine that I work in tandem with all over the country, so we can literally serve anybody anywhere in the United States.
I love that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for what you do. I think it's really
Thank you.
important work. And like you said, especially around the holidays, as people are getting together with their loved ones more, maybe noticing things about them, I think this is a really great service. So
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Can you share with our viewers your website one more time,
Yeah.
any kind of social media that you want to share?
Absolutely. So www.premier-senior.com, and my TikTok is at JenK1120. And then I also have a Stan store if you want to just go for the links. It's stan.store/Premier Senior.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it so much.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We had a great time here on Good Morning Akron. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to do more great interviews, of course, coming on up.